with this woman right here. Lisa Gittens, you make it fun, H&R Block. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Now, you have compiled the most outrageous tax questions the pros have received. These are real, legitimate questions.
That's correct.
But with valuable takeaways for those preparing their 2016 return.
Yes.
You ready?
Across the country, we surveyed all of our experts and said, give us your best.
Okay. We'll start saucy. Number one. I'm a stripper and I purchase clothing to take off on stage. Can I claim the full expense in the year purchased?
Fantastic question. Really fantastic.
You get it all, apparently.
There it is. And in terms of what she's asking there, can she claim the full expense in the year she purchased it? Normal clothing isn't tax deductible in any way. But if you have to purchase a costume in order to carry out your business, to earn income, then you can claim a portion of that, the cost of the costume. It's called amortization. So we look at the official cost of what you've spent on the costumes in the year, and we take a percentage of that and claim it each year until the costume is no longer of use.
Wow. Do you need a special form for that? Or?
You don't need a special form, but you do need a special receipt. So your receipts must be detailed in terms of the date, the place, and the item that was purchased.
Oh, interesting.
And you, in her situation, why I use the word costume is she has to be able to specify that I purchased this particular outfit for my stage use. This is not something I'm using in everyday use, and it can't be carried over into personal use.
So anybody buying clothing, specify the work expense you're using it for. Okay.
Correct.
My wife is due with our first child. Can the baby's diapers be considered a tax deduction since the child will need to wear them at all times?
And we'll be wearing them for the next 2 years. Again, a good question, but no, that is a personal expense. So for newborn parents, any of those expenses that they're coming in, maybe they're like the diapers, like the toiletry products, all of those are a personal expense. They cannot be claimed on the tax return. For the mother going into the delivery or after the delivery, keep your medical receipts, because those visits are deductible as a medical expense. If the baby needs any medical care and you're having to do extra care, keep those receipts. For new parents, the basic expense that they're going to step into is childcare. That's the one thing that they can claim confidently on their tax return, if the mother's going back to work or going back to school.
So childcare is in.
Childcare is in, diapers is out.
Okay, this one's timely. Can I deduct legal fees spent defending myself from charges for operating a grow-up?
That is a very timely question. Okay, so typically, any legal fees that you've incurred to defend yourself from a criminal charge are not tax deductible. But for this particular taxpayer, he has a business. He's operating a business. So the legal expenses that he incurred, if it is to continue to operate the business, then he can deduct those expenses from the profit earned in the business.
So it's getting a little bit more complicated.
It's getting a little bit more complicated, but what you have to keep in mind here is he would not have incurred those legal expenses if he wasn't running the business. Because he was running the business, those legal expenses came in. So he can deduct it, but only from the profit earned while in business.
Heard it here first, people. Lisa Gittens. Okay, this one's, I use a pet tiger in my act. His name is Bob. How do I claim Bob in my tax return? And I'd like to say, unless you are King Ezekiel from The Walking Dead, you do not need a tiger. But what about pet expenses on the whole? Are these tax deductible?
Correct. I agree with you. We're not encouraging you to go get a pet tiger. But if you have an animal in your care and you are using that animal to earn income, so we were talking about people who they have the dogs and they groom them for the dog shows, they're earning prizes, or if you are a personal dog walker or do dog daycare. Any of those expenses, again, it goes back to this expense was incurred specifically to earn income. There's no credit for that pet, like for your spouse or your dependents, but the expenses that go into the care of that animal, because that animal is your source of income. Then you keep those receipts and claim those expenses against the income earned.
Okay, can we do one more?
We can do one more.
As a woman, Can I claim all of my feminine hygiene products on my tax return as a medical deduction? This isn't something I necessarily want to spend my money on each month, but need to.
There you go, and that's the validity of that question. I don't want to spend this money, but here's the thing. You would be spending money on these hygiene products even if you weren't working. It's a personal expense. If now there was a medical condition and you had to purchase additional things, like especially for seniors with incontinence, adult diapers, that's a medical condition. Those diapers are a medical expense. But if it's something that there's no medical reason for, you're not earning income for, it's personal, and that's your bill.
We covered a lot here, Lisa.
We did.
What's the deadline to file that 2016 return?
May 1st for your personal income tax, June 15th for the self-employed person. And for the self-employed person, a lot of these questions relate to them. So keep your receipts. Keep your receipts for the income earned. Keep your receipts for the expenses that you've incurred.
And write down those details.
And June 15th is your deadline. File.
We'll make it all make sense. Lisa Gittins from H&R Block once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Really good questions. Who knew? She gets everything. We'll take a break. Top news stories coming.